On this episode of NCIS, we will be going into the murder of Don Lewis, Carol Baskin's husband, and the new evidence found. They found Don Lewis in the ocean. They found DNA that is not his on his body. 4 potential suspects have been identified: Carol Baskins, Joe Exotic, Doc Antle, and Mama Baskins. This is a side note, I couldn't actually find Carol Baskin's mom's name. To test this DNA, we will be using variable number of tandem repeats, or VNTR for short, which looks at specific area of repeats, which can be a different amount for each individual. So for some it could be 40 and others it could be 30. The DNA is amplified first and then run on separate gels for each loci. For our DNA test, we'll be looking at 2 loci with the DNA found: the victim's DNA and all 4 suspects. I'll be going into a deeper analysis of the gels to determine who is the killer. By comparing the two, it is a lot easier to see the similarities and differences between the gel. Note that for the DNA to match someone, it needs to match perfectly at both loci. We need to determine who killed Don Lewis by pushing him out of the plane. To do this, we need to first determine which bands line up with each other in relation to the suspects and DNA. In locus 1 of the VNTR gel, the DNA found on Don Lewis matches with Carol Baskins and Doc Antle. We know this because both bands match the DNA found on the body. This is important because just having one band match is not enough to have a positive match. This means the DNA is not the victim's, or in this case, the DNA does not match Don Lewis. Then on locus 2, we see that it matches Carol Baskins and Joe Exotic. As previously stated, both bands match the DNA found. So comparing the 2 loci, we see that it matches Carol Baskin twice, and only Joe Exotic and Doc Antle once, as on their respective gels. This eliminates the suspects Joe and Doc from their DNA being there on the crime scene, or in this case, the body they found in the ocean. Upon further investigation of the gels, there's Mama Baskin, who matches Carol Baskins on each loci once, indicating that this suspect is the parent of Carol Baskins. This is because we are diploid organisms, meaning we get half our DNA from each parent. So one strand of DNA will match the parent or the child on both loci. So because both loci match Carol Baskin exactly, this means the DNA found in the body is Carol, who is therefore the killer of Don Lewis, which is no surprise to anyone. That's all for this episode of NCIS. Tune in next week for a potential murder-suicide.